go. So it's looking pretty good. I might try to get down a little bit on this one. Try to move that down. Okay, looks pretty good. Now, going to the brown here. I'm going to come over here. You guys can see that, maybe not. Let me see if I can move this over just a little bit. There we go. So you can see what I'm doing here. I have to move the camera a little bit, but it doesn't distract me much. Now, if I'm moving the camera all over the place every 10, 12 seconds, then yeah, it gets a little annoying, but this is a standing camera, I'm not holding it. And it makes it easier if I'm not holding something. There's less stress on you, and you can just come in here, like so. Again, this doesn't have to be perfect, you know, this is kind of something I'm doing in the background here. Okay. One thing I see a lot, and no fault to anybody of their own, see a lot of art channels that, you know, when I started researching how to do this, one thing I know is a lot of art channels don't have like somebody just being, a lot of people, they become almost like robotic. Not everybody, and again, there's actually some really good ones out there. Bob Ross, and there's a couple others that, you know, I really like, but some that just, I find, maybe don't speak from the soul necessarily, but, you know, there are some that and, you know, again, I'm not saying that this is true or not, I'm just saying, you know, it could be just their way of expressing. Everybody has their way, as I said, and maybe I'm wrong on that, but you guys let me know, maybe I'm wrong. Add a little bit red there, add that in. Also, give some love to some of these, like, these younger artists like myself here, because me and, you know, the other ones, because they don't get a lot of attention. You know, some of their painting stuff, you know, some people might look at it and says, oh, that looks terrible. But, you know, give them some attention, because I think if you give somebody attention, you give them enough of it, they do much better. At least in my experience, it's been like that. Okay, so going out like this. It's just something, you know, be nice. And I try to be nice to people, do my best. You know, I think we all should be. And I try to support other artists. I vended for the first time last week, and what I learned is there's a lot of artists that are struggling, especially in right now, the way things are, economy-wise, that they kind of need like help with that, and I'm happy to help whenever I need it to be. So, and that's coming from the heart, you guys. Always, everything I say, art-wise, non-art-wise, coming from the heart. It's looking pretty good. It goes into the water a little bit, so maybe I'll fix that up, clean that up maybe a little bit. So I'm got a little bit over here. So there's a mountain over here. Let me turn the camera over there. Okay. So this one right here, I'm going to darken up, and I'm also going to go up a little bit on this one, just to darken that up. There we go. There's a little white in there. Go down. I'll probably come back over this with some water. Okay. Still showing a little bit, so let me add a bit of that brown to there. This is kind of like how I like painting mountains. You're going to go left and right, like so. There's a little bit of a tiny peak. I don't know if you guys can see that right here. So I'm gonna just a little bit brown there. I'm gonna have it go in, just slightly go in to the other mountains in here. I'm gonna go back to the right, back to the left. Okay, so those are the mountains there. Turned out pretty good. I do like it quite a bit. So don't think I need to put too much water on it. There's a few areas where I think I could probably improve just a little bit. So what I'm gonna do is, there's a little bit of water right here. There's a little water right there. And do that. Okay. There we go. So I'm just kind of using what water I have left. This brush here. I'm going to add a little bit of brown there. There we go. All right. That looks pretty good. I think what I might do is add a little bit of white. This I'm kind of using there's a way you can do this. Just kind of do like a little bit. Just let the brush, kind of let the paint. Don't put a lot in and don't go pretty hard. What I'm doing here, look at that. And there's a little bit of a crevice up there, so just take off and don't press too hard. That's what I always say. Just don't press too hard. Again, I want some snow. I don't want a lot. Pressing a little, you can press a little hard a little bit. I'm doing a little bit. It's mild primarily. When you have a lot of paint, you just want to go mild on that. All right. Kind of wrap it around. Okay, got some snow on there. Just wanted a little bit. Didn't want to go too crazy with it. All right, so put that there. So I'm gonna fix those trees up. What I'm gonna do is I'm take one of my fan brushes, a little bit of white, a little yellow ochre. I'm gonna go in a little bit and just clean the area up right here. And that brown paint will go in there. Good. All right, so that's looking pretty good. Now let's get to this mountain. My battery is still pretty good, so we might be able to finish this entire thing out, but we'll see. So with the sky, this will be interesting. So a couple things you can do with the sky. You do blue sky, sunset, you know, that kind of thing. So what I'm gonna do is here, I'm gonna do a sunset painting. So not like a sunset, but just a little bit. So I'm taking some just red, just plain red. You don't have to get crazy with the plain red. A little bit of that. I'm also going to take a little bit of this yellow deep. Here. Got some white already. So I'm going to take one of these brushes, the big thick brush here. And it's a long one too. It's a 10 flat. So go into the yellow deep, a little bit of white. So I'm gonna start out here and just do this. Just do little patches. Again, similar to the grass, except these are gonna be much bigger, much longer. And if it hits the tree, there's no problem with that. Again, be careful of the mountains. If you need to get to the mountains, just go in a small amount here. Kind of go to the edge, that. So I'm going to add, when you add red, add a tiny bit of red. You don't want a lot because if you use too much, brighten up way, way too much. You won't be able to see the painting, it'll be so bright. So, not really, but let's go here. So I'm just adding just a little bit here, just a little bit there. Again, you can experiment with this. I do a lot of experimenting myself, experimenting, excuse me. All right, going like that. I'm doing some longer strokes here. It's looking pretty good. So, a little bit of that titanium white. Titanium white will also dull it down, dull the paint quite a bit. And it'll also give this more realistic feel. Again, heavy body, I can't emphasize that enough, especially with white. I'm gonna add just a little bit over here. Again, that will spread outwards. Got some paint on the brush. Let's go over here. Good so far. Okay, I'm gonna go this way. You can add clouds if you want, and I'll show you guys how to do that in a second. But let me get this point here, like a good point. I'll show you how to. And I widen my brush just a little bit so the paint can stick. Sometimes the paint, it's not too warm where I am currently. I'm in the garage currently, and sometimes it can get a little stuffy in here. So paint can dry a little quicker, but as long as you have water, you'll be perfectly fine there. So, okay, gonna go up. If you like and also see here when you add water, that paint that was on the brush has come right back to life. It just brings that paint that was on there, right back to life, and that's kind of a cool thing that kind of does. So, let me there's a little bit of water, but as long as you keep it moving, I wouldn't worry about water particularly. So, go there. If it gets a little bit on the mountains, you could say, "Oh, that's just the glow." It's kind of like how you can cheat at it. Maybe there's like a little glow coming down. That's supposed to be a cloud there, but it's kind of skinny, so, but I will paint over it eventually. So there we go. Now that is looking good here. So let me scoot the canvas out so you guys can see. That's my fault. Sorry about that. All right, so move the canvas over here, move that there. All right, so it's gonna be sunset painting here. I'm gonna add just a little bit of white, quite a bit of white, let's just say. There's a little glow in here. There we go. Another thing you can do is you can kind of go like this. Like another way you can kind of just blend it in. All right. Add a little bit more of that yellow. Again, streaks, 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 streaks. Streaks that way, streaks this way, streaks that way, streaks this way. Okay, so white here. I'm gonna shake the brush a tad. You can do as well. Looking pretty good. Come back and forth again. Back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. Okay, those are looking good so far. Let's change gears in a second. Let me add a little bit more red over here. This needs a little slightly more red. I kind of scraped it out a little bit. Again, I gotta have to stretch my arm, but the good news is I have long arms, so that helps. I got long arms like a monkey. add some water here. Got a little bit more water here. Not a little bit too much, but as long as you keep it moving, as I've said, shouldn't be an issue. Okay. Again, I'm using just the water to get some of these edges here. Make that go out like so. And, you know, if it gets a little hazy there, that could be a good thing. That might help you out. Kind of give the impression of move the camera back here so you guys can see the full. That's looking pretty good. So now we're going to switch gears and do some clouds here. So what I would recommend is you take a fan brush here, just this little fan brush. Turn this over for a little bit. No big deal. So we're going to take a fan brush. That would go a little bit in the yellow deep, but more white than yellow, I would say. So I'm going to do this. You're going to go in circles. Just do this little bit of a circle thing. You can go small circles, little circles. Why does it matter too much? You can see there, I'm just kind of working that in the canvas here. Also, you can also do this. You can scrape it a little bit up. And again, and you can kind of go this way. What I'm trying to do is here, I'm just trying to kind of blend this into the rest of the canvas, I mean. The pencil marks in there are kind of stuck in there. Again, I'm just trying to like so. Also going this way. Again, if my arm's blocking the way, sorry about that. So I'm going to add a little red here, and this will just be, I'll just give it more of a hue to it. I'm just going to shake that in, shake that thing. Just kind of shake it like that. That looks pretty good. I mean, it could be a little better, but you know, there's a little water here. Let me get rid of that water there. We'll get some of that water there too. Yeah, so that looks excellent. I think it turned out really good. I think it turned out pretty good here. So, you know, again, you guys, you can always, you know, you don't have to do it the way I do it. Your way could be better. My way could be better. You know, and and here's the thing, there's not really a better to it, but I think it turned out pretty good, you know. So, you know, I hope you like my art, you know, and hope you like and subscribe, you know. Again, I'm doing this for fun, doing this on the side. If I can help a few art students, you guys are art students or not art students, you know, if I can help you guys grow, it helps me grow and helps you grow. I really appreciate this opportunity, and I'll see you in the next one.